Hey, good morning, everybody. This is James Fee. Hangouts with James Fee episode. What episode is it, Madeline?
I am thinking 20. Yeah.
20. I guess we should know this kind of stuff. But welcome, everybody. Happy New Year. Hopefully, your vacations were happy. And if you're still on vacation, I guess you're not watching this. So I hope you're having a good time. As always, we have Madeline Steele in Portland, Oregon. How you doing, Madeline?
Doing just fine. Thank you, James.
Do you have a good New Year?
Uh, yes. Yeah,
Did you?
I'll say yes. It was pretty low key. I worked on my thesis a lot, but I'm defending in like less than a month, so the end is in sight.
Defending it, right? Defending a thesis, just loads of fun, right?
Woo!
Good for you. And then what happens? Then you get a real job and you leave us?
No, then I get to spend more time learning WeoGeo skills in my off hours. Stuff
Awesome,
like that.
awesome. Did you get any geo presents for Christmas?
I did not. No. I got the usual sort of like amusing books and luxury PJs and such like. So.
Oh yeah, I didn't get anything either. I got golf clubs,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
new fairway woods and stuff. So yeah, so it's good. This week our guest, all the way from another Canadian. What's this with Canadians, James?
I don't know. We got so much spare time up here because it's cold and we have to stay inside. So we can do things. We're not out
Oh,
on the golf course. We don't get new golf clubs. We can't go to the beach.
I haven't
So,
golfed because it's been cold here. We've had freeze warnings and rain, and it's not very good. You can't do anything when it's freezing on the golf course. They don't let you out.
well, the snow in my parking lot's piled up about 6 feet high now. So,
That's about 6 feet more than is in my driveway. Actually, it's nice today. I'm wearing shorts because it's a little bit warmer today. So, though I have a sweatshirt on because I'm lame and I'm used to the warm weather. So cool. Did you get anything cool that was Geo, James?
no, we're really scaling down Christmas. Just too much
Oh,
stuff.
it
So,
totally is.
you
Yeah,
know,
and I guess you don't really need anything anymore. Like the old days, it's like, oh, I got a GPS unit, I got a map. It's like now you got your mobile device, and you don't need that stuff anymore.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I guess why don't we get into this? I mean, uh, who are you? Why are you here?
Well, I was lucky enough to get invited. I can't remember exactly how we hooked up, but I guess it started because as a GIS guy, I'm not a super amazing GIS guy. I'm a bit of a hack,
Aw.
and you guys came to my rescue with your WeoGeo. Like we've been trying to get work with OpenStreetMap data, and for a year or two, and it's so hard for your non-Linux geeky command line type guys like me. I just didn't grow up with that stuff. You quickly bog down. Whereas, somehow I hooked up to you guys. You rescued me. You you allowed me to take our product to a completely new level. In one fell swoop. Just to
What
give
did we
the
charge you for that?
I think it was absolutely free, and it took
Oh,
minutes for you guys, minutes for something
dang.
that would have taken, well, that I'd given up many, many times.
We're
'Cause,
doing this wrong. There should be a business model here.
but yeah, I'm not sure if everyone knows, but what you did was you gave me 13 or 14,000 ski lifts for the entire planet, which we quickly threw onto our Uber weather, and all of a sudden it became amazing because when you throw that data on top of the Google terrain layer, all of a sudden you can see things that you would not be able to get before. It's unbelievable what happened, and it just opened the door to a whole new concept of what we're going to build with Uber weather was because of you guys.
So what is Uber weather? I mean,
Well,
clearly it's got weather in it, right?
yeah, well, originally the original name of it, I built a product called Easy Weather Map, the world's simplest, fastest, lightest weight weather application, and I put it in the Google Chrome store, and it's free, and you can use it today. But as a programmer, you can't leave things without features for very long, and it soon became Bloated Easy Weather Map, which wasn't the best name. And so the word Uber came to mind. It was really actually hard to find a name to go with weather because so the big boys have bought up every name on the planet. They didn't buy uberweather.com, so we bought that, and it's now weather on steroids, which means if we can do just about anything, we can pump this thing full of data, and we will be staying true to the name Uber, hopefully.
So how did you build this thing? I mean, it's clearly, you said you're a one-man, firm here. I mean, you don't have all these programmers working in the back. I mean, how'd you get started with weather?
Well, it's actually it's 100% thanks to Google. Google's amazing. They have an API for everything, and we use the Maps API, and they added a layer. So the actual weather part, is like 10 lines of code. It's free. It's what you can do with it after that, because again, they have an API for everything. You can just start mashing things up and making it more fun. The way it actually started is I was doing a more of an engineering product for a company, and it was pretty ugly. Like, it just looked really bad. And so because it was so boring, I threw the weather layer on that product. And the nice thing about the weather layer is not only when you're looking at the boring engineering stuff, you can glance and see the weather, but it makes nice icons on the screen, so you kind of know where you are all the time, because there's all these reference points. And I found myself going to the engineering site to check the weather, because the traditional weather sites are so bloated with display ads, they irritate me. And then I thought, well, why am I going to this engineering site with all this engineering gudge on it? Let's just make a weather site. And sort of kind of evolved. And because I'd already done a lot of the work, with different real estate and engineering and tourism applications, it wasn't really hard to just mash it together to a weather app.
Yeah, cool. So you mentioned it's running on Google's APIs.
Yeah.
But there's also some Azure in there, is there not?
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons we decided to scale up to the globe was we were lucky enough. We were working on a problem on a blog, and one of the guys who was answering the blog happened to work for Microsoft. And he said, hey, why don't you apply for Microsoft BizSpark? And I thought, well, they're never going to accept me because I'm like a little guy in the woods. But he said, oh, go ahead and apply. So I did, and I actually put his name on the application. Where did you hear about this? I put the guy's name, and he works for Microsoft. I don't know if that helps, but it never hurts. And so once we got BizSpark, all of a sudden, wow, we've got scale. Like, if we got 100 million users on Uber Weather tomorrow, click a few buttons and we can scale. It's unbelievable. And so that kind of prompted us to us being me and my wife, to then, again, build something and hand it out to the globe instead of just kind of keeping it for fun. Because it started off as just a pet project, because I just can't stand looking at all these display ads. Yeah. But I thought, no, let's just pump it out, let the world play with it, and then we put your data on the 13,000 ski lifts, and all of a sudden, wow, this is cool. And then we thought, well, let's put on every Starbucks on the planet. So we did that, and let's put every airport on the planet, and we just started adding data, and then we put in 100 million businesses through the Google Places for Business API, and then we linked up all those businesses to Street View. Like, there's a lot of depth to this that if you want to, you can get really deep, but if you just open it, you see the weather. You don't have to touch it, because we programmatically rotate the globe to hopefully where your IP address is, and you see the weather. But if you want to see more, you can just get more and more and more.
So on the more section, so you decided you wanted to add chairlifts. You've been trying for a while. Along comes WeoGeo. We solve your problem, and you download the chairlifts. But right. What do you do to get those chairlifts into your map? I mean, they just don't magically appear, right?
Well, that's the other cool thing, is that Google, like, I'm a huge Google fan. Absolutely, like, we would not even consider doing anything if Google wasn't basically funding this whole thing for free. Google makes a product called Google Fusion Tables, and we've been using it from day one. And I think it may still, like, it's in Google Docs, and I think they still have a beta or some little tag or testing or something or experimental beside it. But it's pretty full-featured, and running on Google servers, it is absolutely stunning how much data you can throw in it, and how it will instantly, like, incredibly instantly, display that data on a Google map. And so we've been making tons and tons of data layers, putting them on Google Fusion tables, making them public so people don't have to recreate the wheel. Anybody can grab the ski lift layers and mash it up with whatever project they're using today. The only thing we run into is that, is the theming, making it pretty. Like our chairlifts are red, so if you don't want red chairlifts, but you can actually download from Google Fusion tables. You can make your own copy and make your chairlifts purple if you wanted to. But Google Fusion tables is the secret sauce for allowing me to build consumer GIS, which is sort of what I don't know if everyone calls it that, but we're calling, GIS that's friendly, consumer GIS, because most of the GIS is, government and institutions and enterprise, and hasn't been as readily available to consumers as it is now that Google's in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the old days, you used to have to, there's these, I don't even remember who they were called, but like Weather.com is owned by some other company, and WeatherBug, they have their, their professional services groups, and that weather stuff it's very expensive. And it required special SOAP APIs and XML calls, and it was a huge nightmare. And if you're, if you're a big reinsurance company, you don't care because you're already doing some crazy XML stuff. But as you said, how do I just get weather on a map really quickly to just add some value to it? And now that stuff is practically free.
Well, it is through Google. Like Google has a deal with Weather.com. They're the main suppliers of the weather icons, and and then they link to 4-day forecast, 10-day forecast, stuff like that. Then the real-time cloud layer, which is again really cool. Can't remember who's the supplier of that. I think NASA or somebody, I forget, but it's down at the bottom. But then what we also do is we can grab weather from the United States government, the Canadian government, anybody we can get our hands on. Now we have probably about 20 or 30 weather layers waiting to be added to Uber Weather. But what happened is I put Uber Weather into the Google Places API challenge, and that ended on November 30th. And then you're not supposed to change it after you submit it. You're not supposed to submit your product and then keep working on it, because I guess that would be unfair, because the product would keep changing throughout the judging process. And so we have a whole bunch of data layers that are on hold right now, waiting to go into Uber Weather. And we should talk about the Google contest.
Yeah, I was just going to say, why don't you go ahead and into that and let us know what's going on with that.
Yeah, so we're trying to get some exposure of the product, and I noticed that Google had this Places API contest. Now the Places, that is again one of the other secret sauces. They've, when you go to a Google map and you see little icons on the map of the local businesses around you, that's actually the Places API, and they will allow you to hook into that, and they have like 100 million business entities already on that. And so we decided, well, what do you use the Places for, and how do you integrate that with GIS data? And that's really what Uber Weather is doing, is it's taking GIS, municipal data, government data, especially the ski lifts are a really good example of that, and integrating that with their Places API. So that qualified to be put into their contest, which is a global contest. And there was 51 entrants from all over the world. And the public voting ended, and I came in 16th. So not last, not at the beginning. I guess 16th. I'm the top Canadian company. So I have to put the headline, top Canadian company, Uber Weather, in the Google Challenge. Now, the official judging goes for the next month or two, and they'll pick 3 winners based on merit, and then those winners might get to go on stage at the big Google I/O, which would be awesome. I would love to go on stage. I'd love to go to I/O. I've never been able to go. I've never been there. Have you been there, James?
No, I want. It's one of those things you want to do, but something always comes up.
Yeah, and everybody who goes there gets a goodie bag like you can't believe. I'm not sure if you watch all the videos.
Oh, totally. They keep going, under your chair, what do you got? Oh, well, definitely not going to be. If I had an Android device, I'd pull that out. But, maybe you pull out a Chromebook, or they gave away those Nexus Qs. Did you see those? But then they discontinued them. So.
Well, I haven't heard that. Well, one thing I noticed, they gave the Chromebook away 2 ago, And I always thought the Chromebook was going to take off. It wasn't really available in Canada, and I'm not sure what happened to it. But no, I learn a lot from the Google I/O conferences. I watch just about every video on it. And so if you imagine, there's probably, a million developers or more around the planet, look at these conferences, look at these videos. One of my goals for Uber Weather is, it started as a pet project, but I need to get more people involved. And, it's a global product in all kinds of languages, and getting on stage at Google would be a great way to get other developers involved. And so that was one of my huge motivations is to, get some exposure through this Google contest. So hopefully I win.
Right. When do you know about this? End of the month or?
Well, the public voting ended at the end of last year, so 2 days ago, and then I think the judges have about a month or two, and then they'll do an announcement, and then Google I/O is in the early spring.
So you can't do anything for another 2 months with your website?
Well, we're not supposed to, and I didn't quite realize that. But we do have a workaround, because I submitted uberweather.com, a global product. But the way Uber Weather is going to work is every small market will have their own version. So in other words, we'll make Uber Weather, /CA for Canada, and then / Toronto, and so we will build out the micro versions, and the first market we're going after is the ski market. So we want to have a micro version for actually every ski town on the planet that has more local data, because we can only shove so much data at the global product. So every ski resort, you'll be able to go in and find out, what's the lunch special at the pub, what band is playing tonight, what's going on. We can get really hyper local.
What the base is there 35 inches or they're 10 feet, right?
Yeah, and so we will continue building Uber Weather, but for example, we'd start the Spanish version, because I didn't submit the Spanish version and the French version and the Russian version, and we want to make Uber Weather in every language on the planet, which obviously I need help with. I tried doing it in Google Translate, but who knows what you're saying. so yes, we need to get multi-language developers involed.
Yeah, well, that's always fun, right? Converting Canadian to English.
Oh, yeah,
right. I just another little funny Canadian story. I was at a pub the other night, and the guy said, "I like Quebec," and I said, "Why do you like Quebec?" And he goes, "It's just like France, except everybody drives pickups." I thought that was great. Oh, the French. Oh, we love them. But back to your we have a question in from the IRC. What's the business model around all this? How are you going to be sustainable doing this?
Well, actually, it's funny. That's the first question everybody asks me. And
it's all about money.
Yeah, especially my wife. She'd like to get paid one of these days. There's a couple ways to go. We absolutely refuse to cover it with display ads. Right off the bat, it'll never have display ads. So what we're doing is we're developing what we're calling unobtrusive marketing. In other words, if you ask for something, then we will show it to you. And in the example, the demo that's on Uber Weather right now, because we have all the ski lifts, again, thanks to you guys, we then put every ski resort icon on there. Now, when you click the skier icon, then we offer you another tab that appears that allows discount lift tickets. And so you can go, we partnered up with a company called Liftopia, and we get a 3% commission on every ski lift bought through Uber Weather. Now, that hasn't added up to a lot of money yet, but it is working, so it's a way of monetizing. But there's also little things like, if you're zooming in on a ski town and you want to go to a bar and that town has 10 bars, well, we're not going to clutter the map with 10 icons right off the bat. We're going to show one or two icon, and as you zoom in, a few more icons, and as you zoom in, when you get down to the street level, obviously we'll have everybody. So if you want your bar to show up first, maybe you pay us $10 a month. Or if you want a little better icon than the stock Google icons, maybe there's an upgrade, or maybe you need your website, or what, when we click your presence is terrible. Well, we could fix that for you. So there will be sort of value added to the map, but the big area that we're looking at is, our background is tourism and real estate. That's who we build software for. And so if the weather product never makes a nickel, but it links into tourism and real estate that are the sponsors. So in other words, if Virgin Airlines were deciding to sponsor us, and someone clicks a little Virgin icon, and all of a sudden every Virgin route on the entire planet is laid on top of Uber Weather, that would be something people want. And it's, again, it follows our plan of unobtrusive advertising, and Virgin might, give us a few dollars for that. If Starbucks gave us, a penny a store right now, that would be awesome, because we have, I think, 20,000 Starbucks on the map, which we just got for free and put on. I have no idea how anyone would ever reach anyone in these megacorps to talk to them.
You got to go to Google I/O, right?
Yeah, exactly. I have to go on stage and say, "Hey, anyone at Starbucks paying attention?"
Oh no.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So part of what's awesome about it is you're able to get this started up very quickly using the Google APIs. But as you go down this route, you're going to want to have more control over the maps. Have you been thinking about maybe rolling your own tiles with, Tile Mill or Mapnik or, something like that, and just get away from Google as far as the map content?
Well, actually, we do have our own complete globe built already with our own tiles. We started it years ago when the Bing Map API was more solid, and like we were first heavily into Bing. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, but when you zoom out on Bing at the planet, the oceans are like black and the continents are dark green, and wherever they got, whoever made the zoomed out version of Bing is like the ugliest thing we've ever seen. So we built our own globe just because Bing was so ugly and made it really nice. Like, we have this beautiful globe, but it's sitting doing nothing right now, but we could bring it off the shelf and refire it up. I think too, there's so much going on changing things and people are going to start making things much more attractive. And so we will go with whatever the most attractive supplier is of the day. Right now, I really like the terrain layer of the Google Maps. Not too many people use the terrain layer, and it works awesome for ski lifts because you get to see sort of the faux 3D effect. But no, if someone else comes up with something better, yeah, we'd switch.
That's cool. Yeah, the terrain's interesting. Years ago, I was doing a project in New Orleans, which has no terrain, right? But we used to use the terrain map because it was kind of a nice gray background that was nice and subdued, so you could overlay data on it. Whereas if you overlay lines and points on top of a road map, you get the whole clutter underneath it. So that's what's nice about the terrain is, it's got this nice, calming look to it. And I don't know why more people don't use it.
Well, a lot of people just don't know what exists, The other thing, too, is Google now allows you to style the map. You have incredible control over the style, and I haven't used that a lot yet because, again, I've been happy with the terrain, but every time I think I want something, Google amazingly delivers it. So, again, I'm a huge fan. They just keep bringing out stuff all the time that's like, wow, yeah, I could use that. I don't know if you noticed, right now, if you click one of the airports on Uber Weather, I added a link to a product called Google Flight Explorer, which I'd never heard of.
Is that the thing when you type in a airline flight in the search, it comes up with the, how much it's on time, all that other stuff? Is it that travel?
Well, I'm not sure. What happened though is I found a blog that was talking about this Google Flight Explorer. I'd never heard of this, and being a Google guy, I like to know everything. And what it does is it instantly you put in where you want to go, and it finds the cheapest flights, and it gives you a graph of all the cheapest flights sort of for the next 30 days, and you can control it. It's this unbelievable product that's not even marketed by anybody. I've never even seen it used. So I think, again, it's something that's about to be launched. So again, if you go to Uber Weather, click an airport, I put an icon on it just so I can find it again, but yeah, it's amazing. And Google even has a hotel finder, which again is not marketed.
This Google thing, it's going to take off, I tell you.
Yeah. Like every time I think of something, hey, we could, because we put on all these we put on every scheduled airport on the planet. I can't remember what there's 10 or 14,000 of them. Again, someone supplies this data. We just grab the data, put it in Fusion tables, make it public. But it doesn't do much. And so now all of a sudden, now we've hooked it into the Google Flight Finder, and if we could hook up to different routes and different data, like this is just the tip of the iceberg. The amount of data that we can hook up. Well, actually, it's going to be limited by guys like you who supply data to guys like me who don't want to play with it.
Right.
We just want the data. We don't want to hack the data out of wherever.
All right.
It came
So
from.
when you're done here, you're going to write down all the layers you want, put it in an email it to me, and we'll get it up there for free in another week, right?
Yeah. Well, hopefully we won't have to make it free all the time. You want to get paid one of these days too. So.
Totally. So speaking about wanting to get paid, so the Google's APIs are free for you right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But eventually they're going to ask for money. You're going to cross over to this magical number where they're going to say, hey, you got to start paying for me. Have you thought about that?
Well, and two, the magical number is not what I thought it was. If you go to the documentation, again, I've never hit this yet, but I thought the magical number was 25,000 users a day, and that's 25,000 requests for the map API, and then once you've requested it once, you're fine. Now, again, I'm not Mr. Legalese guy, but one of the things that Google asks you to do is get a key for the API. So you do that, and that way you can start tracking some of your stats. And in that interface, it says I'm allowed I think it says 500,000 uses per day before I get charged. I'm like, you've got to be kidding. Now, I could be wrong, but the number is so ridiculously high that by the time I have to worry about this number, somebody smarter than me will have figured out how to pay the bills around here.
Or you just switch to another service like Mapbox, or roll your own maps. I mean, that's what Foursquare did, and some of these other ones. Is they got to this limit, and they said, you know what, we can't make it work. And
well, too, as far as I know, I did contact. There's a. See, I use the free Google, which means my product has to be free. But they have a Google Maps for Business, and we contacted them once, and I think it was about $10,000. Which, for me right now, that's too much money. We're a startup. We eat Kraft Dinner lots. Kraft Dinner is a macaroni and cheese up here. I don't know if you guys get that down there. But,
oh no,
it's a staple food for.
It sounds lovely.
Anyway, yeah, for starving startups, you have to cut as many corners as possible. So yeah, $10,000 to get the business version of Google Maps is out of our budget today, but it's not a big number. And again, it opens up all kinds of possibilities that we haven't had to get to. And then Google makes other enterprise grade products, again, that we haven't looked at, but they are, like, I don't think we'll ever outgrow them, so I haven't even been paying that much attention. That said, OpenStreetMaps, they have some cool stuff too. Like, they are amazing. It's just they're really hard to work with, which again is how we ended up meeting you, because they're just too hard. Like, sure, they give you great instructions, set up your own Linux box and okay, well, we die right there. Setting up a Linux box for me is not going to happen, and get your PostGIS thing and then type in all these command lines, and it's like, you got to be kidding me. Not going to happen.
That's cool enough. So, yeah, I mean, the whole thing about, Google is, it's nice, as you said, it's nice to get started for free. And then, I guess all startups run into this problem. Eventually, stuff starts costing you money, and then you have to address it further on. But, worrying about, when you have a million hits an hour on your weather site today is probably putting the cart in front of the horse. Does that translate to Canada? Cart in front of the horse?
Yep.
Okay. Didn't know it was like a Kraft Dinner kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's funny. I've heard a lot of people since Google started, saying they're going to charge, and they're like, oh, I got to leave. And it's like, why? Why do you have to leave before you have to? Why try and solve a problem that's 2 years down the road today when you don't need to? I mean, that's just me. So clearly that's the way you're sort of thinking about this too. Let's build the darn thing, and then when it's successful.
Well, the way I look at it too is from my outlook, Google's given out like $1 billion worth of stuff for free. Like, just the street view imagery is unbelievable. You know, the mapping, everything is amazing. So no, I'm perfectly willing. They should be paid. Like, they give out just so much stuff for free that, yes, at some point I'd be more than happy to give them a big chunk of money. So no complaints there.
Well, cool. Well, Madeline's already given me the 30. She's like, 30 minutes is up. Right? She's got the. See, I got no watch. Right?
Yeah, that's the problem now that you have mobile. Is you don't need. I wouldn't want to own shares in a watch company because I haven't had one since mobile came out.
Well, they're like bracelets for men, right? Nobody in the old days you wore them because you had to look at the time, and now you wear them because it's a fashion statement. I don't know. I wore a watch the other day, you know, and after about 5 minutes I had to take it off because it was driving me nuts. This heavy thing on my wrist. It was.
Well, mine got stolen in Cancun, and it's like, go ahead, have it. Haven't replaced it. So.
Right. If you go to Cancun and something wasn't stolen, you didn't have a good time. That's all I know about Cancun.
Oh yeah, because and the security guy comes around the hotel, and I said, well, look, this is how you pick the door up off its frame, move it to the side, walk into your room, put the door back.
It's all part of the experience.
Yeah.
You know, doors that work is for, you know, North America and Western Europe. Everywhere else, doors are optional. You know,
yeah.
I was in Nicaragua at a hotel, and they didn't have doors. They had little curtains you flip back and forth. So it's like, don't want to leave your computer in your hotel room when you leave because it may not be. Your clothes may not be there. I don't know.
Yeah. No, but I love going down to Mexico. It's great fun. So.
Yeah, cool. So, well, great. Well, thank you so much for taking time in the new year for our first hangout.
Yeah, thank you. And good luck with the contest.
Okay, well, thank you guys for inviting me, and I hope people watch this and join UberWeather and help me code it up to be nice.
What's the URL? Uberweather.com?
Exactly, yeah.
Just that easy.
Yeah.
Not uberweather.ca?
Nope, we wanted to get the .com because we're global, and .com's still where it's at, so.
Cool. Well, cool. Yeah, someone just said on the IRC, you know, great job mashing up various APIs. I think, you know, that's kind of interesting how you've just picking and choosing from all these ones and how, you know, relatively easy it all is to mash it up. So,
well, there's 4,000 lines of code in it, so it wasn't that easy. It's the details that, and there's still bugs in it.
No, there are features that you haven't been implemented yet.
Yeah.
You just have to phrase them right.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. This year we're changing things up. We're going bi-weekly rather than weekly. Our next guest is the wonderful Ian White of Urban Mapping. So that should be fun next week. He is always one to not hold back on his opinions on transportation mapping and maps. So make sure you join us, right?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Everybody.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Have a great week.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.